Hello, fellow mompreneurs. Welcome to the Real Moms Podcast, the go-to space for resilient entrepreneurs who are striving for abundant living. I'm your host, Shae Spitz, a mompreneur and a realtor here in Columbus, Nebraska. Are you a mom juggling the hustle of entrepreneurship, family life, and personal growth? Well, you're in the right place. On this podcast, we dive deep into the real, unfiltered stories of incredible women who are navigating the journey of mompreneurship. We'll celebrate the victories, share practical insights, and acknowledge that it's okay to face challenges along the way. Success isn't about the destination. It's about the journey and the growth we experience as we balance our careers and the chaos of family life. Whether you're a seasoned mompreneur or just starting on this exciting path, join me and our amazing guests as we explore what it truly means to be a resilient entrepreneur striving for abundant living. Get ready for real, raw, and remarkable conversations that will inspire and uplift you. Because here at the Real Moms Podcast, we believe in the power of community, authenticity, and the strength that comes from embracing the journey together. So grab your coffee, find a cozy spot, and let's dive into the world of mompreneurship. This is the Real Moms Podcast, where we celebrate the hustle, honor the struggle, and thrive as resilient entrepreneurs living abundantly. Welcome to Real Moms, where resilient entrepreneurs create abundant lives for themselves and their families. Before we jump into today's conversation, I'd love your support. If you're inspired by what you hear, hit the subscribe button, leave a 5-star review, and share this episode with another mom who's building her business and her dreams. Your reviews and shares help us spread the message that moms can truly have both success in business and abundance at home. So let's dive in. I like to start every podcast off with a motivational quote, and today's quote is, "Well-behaved women rarely make history," and that's by Eleanor Roosevelt. Today, we have Brittany Blackman. She is a leadership coach who founded, grew, and sold a successful company and kicked off her second one all before turning 35. With nearly 2 decades of experience with leading teams, she now works with high-achieving, high-potential professionals who want to lead with heart, make a real impact, and still have something left in the tank for the people they love. She partners with individuals and organizations to build healthier, more human leadership cultures, starting at the top and rippling through the whole team. Brittany's known for saying the quiet part out loud, cutting through the chaos with compassion, and helping servant-hearted leaders lead with presence and power so their teams are aligned, engaged, and actually rowing in the same direction. That's always important because you obviously don't want to be going in 2 different directions. So Brittany, thank you so much for being here. As I said before, I laughed at the quote that you love because I heard that 6 years ago, and those who know me, I'm a loud person. I tend to say things without always thinking through, so I'm working on that still 6 years later. But thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'm so excited, Shae. We're going to be best friends after this.
I know I'm a loud person. Even just talking, people are like, "Shae, you're so loud." I'm like, "Yeah, lovely." But so tell me a little bit about the business that you had before and why did you end up selling it?
Oh, great question. So I was in vacation rental property management for 9 years, 9.5, as an ops manager. Had this big dream and passion to have my own company. And so in 2020, that opportunity came. It was the right timing after several conversations for me to step out on my own. So I was absolutely terrified, but just it was one of those things I knew in my soul and heart that I wanted to do it. And in 2020, while we were closed down for the pandemic in Florida, I believed in travel and tourism so much that I started my own company. Honestly, had plans that I was going to have that company for 10, 20 years. It would get me into my 40s, 50s, and figure out what happened after that. But then all of a sudden, in about 2023, I started diving into personal development because I just felt really lost and just felt like my spark had dimmed and needed to figure out what was up with that. And that began a personal development journey, which was absolutely amazing, but also rocked my world. And in that, I had to make some really hard decisions. And one of those decisions was to sell the vacation rental business and exit the industry and then figure out what the heck happened next. And so I say that all in just a matter of seconds, but it took about a year to process, think things through, strategize, and then again, figuring out what's next as well.
So I have a lot of questions. Buying a vacation business during COVID. sounds a little bit insanity. Did you get a good deal? Honestly, it really does, because obviously a lot of places were shut down. There was a lot of restrictions. Good thing for you is you were familiar with how that industry worked for the most part, but obviously you had never gone through something like COVID. Do you feel that you got a good deal on it because of what was going on in the world? What does that look like? Because that sounds very scary in a time where everything is shut down.
So it was, but I want to make the story even crazier that I didn't buy a business. I founded it from scratch.
Oh, you didn't buy it. I was
So,
thinking that the company that you worked with or worked for is what you bought. No, you
yes,
you found
no.
it. Okay.
Yes,
Oh,
that's what
wow.
I
Yeah,
wanted to
that's
do. That's what all the
mhm.
conversations were. And for years, I thought we were going up to that point. And yes, I very much wanted to purchase that company, but those owners were not ready to exit. And I was ready to follow my dream. Yes, I made the decision in the summer. So at that point, travel had picked up.
Yep.
Excuse me, and I started from the scratch and we had our first rentals that December of 2020. So, yes, it was
Wow.
terrifying. I had no
Yeah.
idea. I had no idea what was ahead of me, but I've always embraced change really well.
Yeah.
I thrive in chaos and being able to
Yes.
problem solve and creative and put things together.
Mm.
There really wasn't even a worry about fear of failure. It was just I knew
Yes.
I had to do it for myself, my family, and I didn't want
Mhm.
to eat ramen the rest of my life.
And even if that means you got to eat ramen for a little while you build this and get it
Yes.
up off the ground, you make those
That's
sacrifices.
right.
I was talking to a friend yesterday. She's like, I just need a little bit of, what does she say? Shae motivation or something like that. And so we got together finally and we were talking about that. Like I've never really been, change is scary, don't get me wrong. The unknown is very scary.
Mhm.
But when you have that intuition and that like gut feeling that this is what you're supposed to do, like you have to take that. You have to take that opportunity. That is literally like the Holy Spirit, and that is like God telling you this is what you're meant to be or this is what you're meant to do. And we go through those phases in life. So obviously that was what you were meant to do for those 3-4 years, but then something else shifted in 2023 for you that you knew you needed to go a different direction.
Yes.
So can you walk us through what did the fear, it's hard to think back to it, but you said it in a couple seconds and you said it so lightly, but there's a lot of depth to that.
There is. On the surface level, it's just making a decision. Okay, it's easy to make the decision of do I sell? Do I bring in an ops manager? Do I step out? What does that look like? That was the easiest part of the decision.
Mhm.
Honestly, it was what I call the identity crisis afterward. That's really what hit me hard because I also feel like as females, we put our all into everything
Yeah.
and we let our job define us. And not everybody, but I did. I was Brittany, the property manager, and that's where personal development took a ton. I was in coaching school, also running parallel to selling the business during that last year. I don't know where I would be if I did not have the coaching school because every week in class I was like, oh, I've got something to be coached on this week. So my whole
Mhm.
classmates saw my journey and my evolution because I had to unpack who I was because I'm also a recovering perfectionist and a recovering people pleaser. So I, over the years, had become what everybody else wanted me to be. And it led me to great
Mhm.
success and it was awesome, but I
Yeah.
was tired of that. And so when you have to start, and it sounds so crazy till you experience it, but just I had to start peeling back of I don't like to be like this. I don't like to be, I don't
Mhm.
like being a control freak. I don't like being all of this. It's stressful. It gives me anxiety. It causes issues in my relationship and conversations, and
Yeah.
my nervous system is all crazy. I can't sleep. And so when you start digging into those things and really get into the root cause and where they're lying, that's when it was just starting to dismantle those things of this isn't serving me anymore. This isn't who I want to be. What do I want to be next?
Yeah. Yeah. And I truly believe that's why midlife crisis happens is because people go through life. They have this like gut feeling that they were supposed to be doing something else, but they never take on the belief and the faith that they're fully capable of doing it. So they stay down the path, the mundane path of, okay, you get up, take care of the kids, go to work, come home, blah, blah, blah. Very boring. People overestimate what they can do in 5 years, but underestimate what they can do in a year because people are like, oh, in 5 years, I'll do that. Okay, why not now? Why don't you start now? I remember years ago, I was dating somebody and he's, I'm going to start a bit, I'm going to start at my own gym. And I'm like, when? And he's in 5 years. I'll never forget this. And I was like 21, 22 at the time. And I literally thought to myself, why five? Why 5 years? Why are you not doing that now? Because what's going to change in 5 years if you're not making those changes now? And I asked him, he's like, I got to get finances. I'm like, you just got to go. That didn't work out. But you just got to go. You just got to, it's fire, ready, aim. It
Absolutely.
is not ready, aim, fire. It is not ready, aim, fire. It is fire, ready, aim. And you have to make that commitment that you're going to get it. You're going to make it work. You're going to have hard times. It's not going to be easy. You're going to have a lot of tears, but it will be worth it. It really will.
It will. And entrepreneurship teaches you so much. I think that's the other part of it too. It can be very lonely. That's why I was so excited just in hearing your story and the community that you've been trying to build bigger and bigger, because especially as a solopreneur and as a female, there's all sorts of, and males deal with stuff too. I don't ever want to
Right.
discount, like they've got a lot of weight that they carry. It's just, it
Mm-hmm.
looks different. It is hard, and it is, I call it an emotional roller coaster. You're going to be on the highest of highs and you will be at the lowest of lows, and you've got
Mm-hmm.
nobody else pushing you besides yourself and hopefully your family and support system. And so it is nice to be able to connect with other people, because it is
Mm-hmm.
very challenging. It teaches you a lot of things. If to be successful, and
Yeah.
everybody has little different terms of what success means, you've got to have good time management, prioritization. Otherwise, you sacrifice everything. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing there. Sometimes in business, you have to choose what to sacrifice at some point. I don't believe in a full work-life balance, because every day and every week and season looks a little different. But overall, making
Mm-hmm.
sure you're intentionally working towards that right path is, I don't know, just the biggest thing for me.
It really is. And being intentional. I like how you said that there's no work-life balance, because there's not. There's going to be some days where you're spending more time at work, and there's going to be other days where you make your family a priority. I know one of the comments or one of the questions in here is like, how do you have that on-off switch between home and business? Because as an entrepreneur, because that's one of the things I was talking to my friend about yesterday, is because she's W-2 right now and she wants to leave and do her own thing. And I told her, I said, and because she did make the comment, she's, I want to be able to do what I want, when I want, with who I want. And I'm like, great. That's what all entrepreneurs want. That's what everybody wants. I said, but you have to be a little bit realistic that usually that first 5 years is a grind. You're not getting off work at 5 and you get to go home and do what you want. I said, it is going to be a constant mental toll on yourself and honestly your relationship. And when you even go on vacation, you don't get to just disconnect. You can try. I try, and I'm getting better at it, but your mind is still back there. And even when I go home, if I don't have anything to do, my mind, I might physically be there, but like mentally, I'm not always there. And so that is something that people need to realize in the entrepreneurship world. You end up typically working a whole lot more hours, but you're usually doing what you love, so you can justify it a little bit. And it's not going to be, hey, I'm just going to take off and for the next 3 weeks and I'm good to go. Nope. You can build it to that for sure. Don't get
Right.
me wrong. And I'm 7 years in and I still haven't built it to that. But as it's not as glorious as people think entrepreneurship is.
Oh, it is a, you said it a second ago, like the mental exercise of entrepreneurship is, oh, it's never ending.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the on off switch is hard, because the reality is we are also human. To me, that's how I
Mm-hmm.
know you're not a bot. Because
Yeah.
if you think that you can just turn this switch on and off, it doesn't work that way. That your
No.
body, your nervous system is not set up that way. So, with that said, are there things that you can do to help create that separation? Yes. And I think that involves intentionality. Are you setting healthy boundaries, or are you just putting a plate of a million things to do in front of you every single day, trying to choose and clamor between them? And so I think setting healthy boundaries, establishing those, paying attention to your energy, what's giving you energy, what's not, learning to delegate better. And also, you've
Mm-hmm.
got to have me time. We're so afraid of me time, especially in today's modern world with social media and technology. We always have to be busy, we always have to be
Yeah.
doing something. Look at like the monks. They
Yeah.
live without all of this stuff and are
Mm-hmm.
perfectly content. And it requires slowing down, and it requires like
Mm-hmm.
spend time. I also am big in exercise. So I spend time in the gym, and that's my processing time. So half the I won't even take music. I'll go hop on the bike for about an hour, and I just let all the mental chatter just go through, in, out, weave around, have ideas. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just me time, because the reality
Yeah.
is, if you go from crazy work and everything going on there, and then you go straight into watching TV, being on social media, your brain's still busy. Like you're not
Yeah.
giving yourself the rest. And
Yeah.
I think that's part sometimes of what leads to insomnia then, because what happens when you go to sleep? You don't have the music, you don't have the TV, you don't have the
Hmm.
thing catching your attention. So now your brain is trying to catch up with everything. And sometimes that looks like meditation if somebody doesn't
Hmm.
want to do exercise, or just the craziest thing, sitting in silence for
Yeah.
15 minutes. It
Yeah.
might blow your
Yeah.
mind.
Yes. Absolutely. There's so many people. I've heard this. I don't know. I listen to Rob Dial quite a bit, and one of the things he said is that there was a test where people could either choose, hey, you can get either choose to have an electric shock go through your body one time, but it's going to hurt, or sit by yourself in silence for 15 minutes. Most people, I want to say there's like 80% of the people chose the shock because they couldn't even think about sitting in silence for 15 minutes. Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate on that a little bit because in my mind, I'm thinking I can sit in silence, but this is a quick shock and I'm going to be done and over with and I can get on with my day. So I would probably be the person that would take the shock, not because I'm worried about sitting in silence, but because I got things to do. But that's just it. We need to slow down. And I am absolutely guilty of it. I am like you. Fitness is such an important aspect of my life. I do it every single morning. Every single morning. I am usually up, aim for 4:35, usually up by 5, but I listen and read my Bible, do the reflection, and then I get to working out. And I usually work out for 45 minutes, and then it's go time getting the kids up and ready for school. But that's my morning. I need that time. I do. I need it.
Absolutely. And you know what popped in my head for me as you were saying that is, in this like hustle mentality. And don't get me wrong, especially as an entrepreneur, like there are some days where you need to hustle. Like I'm not saying be a couch potato. There's so much of this hustle mentality that we feel like is a social pressure, but we really have our own control. And I know this is going to sound morbid, but like when our time is up here on earth, is anybody like, how many hours a week did she work?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. 100?
Yeah.
She didn't see her
Yeah.
family? How cool. But that's what we're
Uh-huh.
working towards. That's
Yeah.
exactly what we're doing. And that's honestly in my decision making, I was like, what am I doing with my time here on this planet? I want to work hard. I want to hustle and do things, but I don't want that for when my time is up, for people to remember me that I worked 100 hours and never saw anybody and I was miserable, and all the other things that lead
I
from
know.
it. And my worst
Hmm.
fear was having a heart attack because my father passed away from a heart
Yeah.
attack. And that's what I was like, that's where I'm headed. No,
Hmm.
I refuse. I don't know how I will leave, but if it's up to me, it's not going to be that way, by gosh.
Right. And it's about being present. Like, even if it's just for a short period of time, we need to get back into this, my husband and I. But we used to take our kids every Friday. One of us would take one of the kids. We have three on a short little date, hour and a half long, nothing crazy. It was like the highlight of their week. We need to get back to it. It's just, we make excuses. We both got busy in the business world. The other thing is like we are doing a lot of things with our family together. So then it's like hard to take time for just individual, which it is so important. An hour doesn't seem like very long, but literally like it can be a game changer for your relationship with your kids. And then obviously with your significant other as well, because that is more important than even your relationship with your kids. Because if you don't have a happy marriage, you're not going to have a happy family dynamic life.
No. And can I share a story with
Mm-hmm.
you? I'm going to try to do this without crying.
No, I mean, you can. It's fine. My husband and I've said this before. We went through some really hard times this year, and I've shed a lot of tears about it. It was a really hard time, but I also don't necessarily regret it because it has brought us closer.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, to your point with that, like sometimes you don't realize the impact you are having on your family. And so, for example, I was in property management for a total of 13, 14 years. When I sold my vacation rental company in August of last year, I was picking up my stepson from school a few months later. He's in high school. And I remember as if I was in the car still with him. And he's sitting next to me and he was like, "Hey, do you ever miss it?" And I said, no, it served us really well. It was great. I loved it while I was in it, gave it my all. No, I'm at peace with the decision to sell and to get out of it. I said, what about you? And he said, yeah. He said, I think it's better for everybody that you sold. And it like
Wow.
broke my heart because like the way that he said it, I was like, God, I've impacted this child's life unknowingly for so many years. It didn't even click because it was just like, oh, I'm working and dad's working and he's going in between our house and his mom's. And I never stopped to think about what his experience was. It was just, I was doing my career and I had my business and
Right.
this and that. And so, like, obviously there was nothing I could do to go back and fix or change
Right.
any of it, but it was like,
Yeah.
it was the voice she needed to hear to go, I can't fix it backwards, but I can make
Hmm.
sure that moving forward, I don't make a child feel that way. I don't make my husband feel that way, and I don't feel that way. And so that's the
Hmm.
hard thing is like sometimes you're not having those conversations. And maybe if you're not able and you're not creating that time one on one, you don't hear some of that. And that's just something I would share with everybody that have the time, create the space, create the
Yeah.
time, make it, and see if you can pull out how people are feeling in the family and see if there's a way to shift and evolve. Or maybe you don't want to, and maybe that's, hey, I just need you to hang in with me for these next few years while I build this business and such. But that was really hard to realize how much that impact had that I just completely unaware of.
That gave me chills because, yeah, we're not aware of how it affects the people around us, how it affects our kids, how it affects our significant other. Like my husband and I, we ended up going to counseling, honestly, and we learned like how to talk to each other. I'm extremely busy, and I give that as an excuse. Like I'm on my phone, and if I'm there, I'm mentally not there. And one of the things that we learned was that his love language is quality time. I'd rather just buy you shit and show you that I love you that way, but quality time is his thing, and I needed to hear that and recognize that. And if that means quality time is, hey, we're sitting down and I'm not on my phone. My thought was like, you're watching your movie, what's it matter if I'm on my phone or you're doing work? Because I don't ever just scroll on social media. I really don't. Lately I have. This last week has been just wild, but I even deleted my Facebook app yesterday.
Good for
Oh, it's
you.
awful. But then I re-downloaded it. It's a whole thing.
Boundaries. We'll talk about that next time.
I know. I deleted it yesterday morning and then I re-downloaded it last night. My husband's like, I thought you were deleting it. I said, I did. It was all day. So I stayed off of it all day. It's a whole thing. But that's a true story. But anyway, yeah, I realized like his love language is quality time. And I need to take that more seriously. If that means 6 o'clock at night when I'm home, even if it's late, when I'm home, like I need to be home. But it is tough at the same time because this, especially real estate, can be very demanding. You have time constraints and stuff like that. But it's not easy. It is a juggling act, and but it's a open communication, having those conversations and being transparent with one another.
Absolutely. And I think for you, I feel like property management was very similar in that real estate, like what you just said, of it's so demanding. A lot of things are so time sensitive. And I don't disagree with that, but I also think that maybe we don't have healthy boundaries and we
Mm-hmm.
allow the expectations to be, I'm a
Yes.
minute man. And we do that amongst ourselves. And so what I would
Mm-hmm.
challenge in that is if you're in a relationship and a season in life where you can give it your all, and that is, I was in that season, that's what I did, that's fine. But if your season changes, then that is up to you to set their boundaries and also communicate the expectations. For example, when I got out of property management and moved into the leadership coaching and consulting, I would find that every 4 minutes I was checking my email. And I was like, God, what
Mm-hmm.
is wrong with me? I came from
Yeah.
property management where everything was time sensitive, everything needed to be responded 5 minutes ago. And I had to rewire myself. And I'm like, you know what? That's not what I want anymore. That's why I chose this different path. I need to give
Mm-hmm.
myself at least a day. And so
Yeah.
I challenge, it's still a challenge, but I challenge
That's a
myself.
challenge.
And where if I
Mm-hmm.
know that it is somebody who's needing a quick response, they'll say, hey, I've got a lot on my plate today. Give me 24 hours. And 99% of the time, they say, okay. They
Mm-hmm.
just, the expectation within society and things being so quick and fast moving now, it's just, oh, I can get the answer immediately. And I think part of running a good business as well is saying, hey, can I follow up with you in the morning? Yeah, no problem. Hey, I'll get your response by
Right.
noon, by 5. But set the
Mm-hmm.
expectation. If they need it sooner, they'll say, oh gosh, no, I actually need this. Okay,
Yeah.
and make that exception or whatever. But how much of the boundary and expectations are we putting on ourselves and not actually communicating that out and just seeing
Yeah.
if people can meet us there.
Yeah. One thing that I absolutely love is, so I have an iPhone. So a couple months ago, the iPhone, you can now pre-schedule text messages. Game changer.
My favorite.
Game changer. Because I'm a kind of person where like it's on my mind and I either I have to get it down or I have to take action for it. So a lot of times I would put it in my to-do, then like my mind is still boggled up because it's still a to-do. Whereas if I get up, I have 5 minutes just to quickly start responding back to everybody, but it's at 4:30 in the morning.
Yes.
Nobody wants a text from Shae at 4:30 in the morning, nor do I want to have a conversation with anybody at that time. But quick, you know what? I'm going to pre-schedule this to go out at 8:30, to go out at 11. I literally pre-scheduled a text this last Monday to go out on Friday because I was like, nope, I'm thinking about it, but I don't need to deal with it now. I'm going to pre-schedule it for Friday. Game freaking changer. Game changer. Love it.
Yes, I do the same in emails as well, sending
Can you
out.
do
So
it in emails?
I'll,
Can you do it in Gmail?
yes, yeah, because that's what I do. I use Gmail. So yeah, so I do that. So same thing as entrepreneur, right? You have your own schedule you can set, which means you work 24/7. So if I'm responding late at night at 9, 10, 11 o'clock, what I don't want is my clients to know that I'm sitting down because all of a sudden I've now created an expectation of Brittany works at 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Yep.
I learned that in property management. So now
Uh-huh.
I schedule everything. So you get a response from me between 8 to 5. And if I'm responding at a different time or day, I will send it and schedule it for the next morning at 8. And sometimes I make people wait till 9:30
How
with
do
some
you
crazy
pre-schedule
stuff.
emails? Like, I gotta know this now. Where do you go to pre-schedule it? Because that's a game changer. Because yes, like the same thing. I'm quickly gonna remember it at night. Let me respond, but I don't want to respond that late at night because I don't want to have a conversation. I just want to get it off my mental caseload. How do you do
Yes.
it? I'll talk to you about that afterwards.
I was
We'll
gonna
talk about it.
say
We're gonna discuss it.
I think it's when you go into, I've got it pulled up here if you can give me a second. I think you just go into compose and down at the bottom where you go to send, there's almost like there's a drop down and then you
Schedule
can,
send. Oh my
boom.
gosh. I love it. Thank you so much. That is a game changer.
You're
Oh, I did
welcome.
not know that. I did not know that.
Oh,
So
girl,
here's
your
the
life's
tip
gonna
of
change.
advice. Find what works for you guys.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Find what works. Set those boundaries. But for me, like I just have that mental caseload that I have to get it off my plate. So if I can schedule these, oh, and that was just a game changer for iPhones, and I think Androids did it previously anyway. And then now emails. Oh my gosh. All right. Oh, I love it. But yeah, we find ourselves like constantly checking our phones, constantly checking our emails, and it's because we trained ourselves to be that way. For some reason, like I even when I go to check my mail, I've never had anything bad come from the mail, but sometimes when I go to check the mail, I have this worry that, oh, hey, you know what? You are being audited. I don't know, something crazy. Like I just have that and I don't know why. There's probably a reason, but I haven't figured it out. It is weird. It's really weird,
I think
but
that's just the silent way of entrepreneurship. Is
uh,
somebody going to sue me? Did I do something
yeah.
illegally? And you don't
Yep.
know because there's
Yep.
not a very good, clear guidebook, and especially varying
Yeah.
industries, and you don't ever know if you're going to piss somebody off and what happens with that.
Mhm.
So that
Mhm.
is definitely the silent way of entrepreneurship that when you're not the founder and the owner of the business, you can even hear
Yeah.
it and it doesn't click. It's just that I think that is just a silent. I don't know how that ever, if and how that ever goes away. I think it's just that silent
Mhm.
worry.
Yeah, because the more you do, the more people you're probably going to piss off. Hopefully, you still have way more people who like you. And as long as you, and I always say, somebody else's problem with you is not my problem, or somebody else's problem with me is not my problem. As long as I never intentionally or maliciously try to do anything to them, which I don't think I ever have. But I'm sure that there's also things that I have said that people took the wrong way and are now upset with me, but I don't even know about it. But I will tell you, I sleep really good at night.
Good.
Within 30 seconds, I am out. Like it is awesome. It's ridiculous. But I do care to an extent, but I can't let it bother me.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just no, you can't because you can't take in the business world, you cannot take things personally. Like I had somebody list for sale by owner and I honestly reached out to her because her and I had talked about it for a while and I just said, hey, you know what? If there's anything that I can do, if you guys get to the point, can't get it sold, looks like you have a beautiful house. And she came back to me and she said, honestly, I was so worried about what you would say. I thought you were going to be mad. I thought you were going to be pissed. And I was like, no, absolutely not. And then one of her friends actually ended up reaching out to me and she said, thank you for being so like so good about this and being such a good human and not making her feel bad because I'm not here to take people's money. I am here to help you net the most amount of money in the least amount of time with the least amount of stress. And whatever that looks like, I am here to help however I can. So it's just like you can't take things personal in the entrepreneurship world. Easy to say, hard to do.
Fair. Very.
Uh-huh. Especially when you first get started. Especially when you first get started. It is tough. It is tough.
It is. And as I think about what combats that or what's the medicine for it, the only things that come top of mind for me are creating distance. So as you grow a team and you say, okay, this is what gives me worry, I'm going to put somebody else in charge of this kind of stuff, like reviews, for example. So in property management, we were getting hundreds of reviews a week. And so those gave me anxiety because if one person said that like a frying pan was messed up, I was like, oh my gosh, we have done so terrible. We have let them down. Why did I not catch a frying pan? And so
Uh-huh.
I had to say, you know what? This is bad energy. This gives me anxiety. Push this off. Hey, person, let me know when it's an extreme thing that's an operational issue that I need to address or something that I need to address with
Yeah.
an owner and take it off. Other than that, I think honestly, I wish I would have also known earlier how valuable personal development is within
Yes.
entrepreneurship
Oh,
because
yes.
you've got to balance the ego and the humbleness. You've got to balance the confidence and the imposter syndrome. And now that I'm in a coaching world, I'm like, God, why did I not have access to somebody like this who I could bounce this stuff off of? And now I've definitely dubbed myself a lifelong learner. And I myself get coached once a week even still because it is like the more and more you learn about yourself and you're very grounded and intentional in who you are, how you operate, and how you grow that business, whether it's a big one or a small one, that is what allows you to sleep at night. That's what allows you to not
Mhm.
need that external validation. But I don't think you can do it without diving into
No.
personal development and or
Yes.
creating the different levels that can help buffer you from the impact.
Yeah. I got into personal development probably a couple years into my entrepreneurship world just because I started realizing like the stress of my mental capacity and how important it is to take care of yourself and to be a little selfish with taking care of yourself. But I don't think that you will always see a return in investing in yourself because nothing can take you further than having a good, stable mindset. Emotional intelligence, I would say, is probably the number one thing that an entrepreneur or just anybody in general can have is that emotional intelligence and being able to take a step back, understand both
Mm-hmm.
parties because obviously there's a lot going on in this world, a lot of things that I don't even understand and I can't wrap my head around. I'm so disheartened. I am so broken to know how much evil and disgust is out there, but at the same time I also know there's a lot more faith and there's a lot more love than there is. It's just evil is really loud. But being able, like when you are having a conversation with somebody, to try to put yourself in their shoes and try to understand where they're coming from before you just spew out what you believe. You know what I mean? Everybody is going to have their different views, but just try to drill in like your own belief and how they should think is not maybe the best approach, but just really taking a step back and like taking a deep breath, not letting what other people say get to you. Cause I've allowed that too this last week. I'll fully transparent. I have, and it has been a little bit of a struggle, but I need to take a step back. That's why I deleted Facebook for a whole like 12 hours. I did really good. I'm gonna get better at that,
Yes.
but
There,
we're
there's
still human. I'm still human.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say there are apps too that also block you. So I had the same issue with social media, especially early on when I was starting this job because I had a lot of free time when I didn't have clients. And so I actually had to download an app because I was spending like 4 hours a day on social. It was ridiculous.
yeah,
20 minutes here, 30 minutes here. It would add up so
yeah,
quickly. So I put an app on my phone where I would only give myself like either 30 minutes or an hour a day, and it would literally block me from the app. Like I could not
that's
get
amazing.
on it. And that was very helpful. And then I even got logged out of my LinkedIn 2 or 3 weeks ago on my phone. And I haven't even logged myself back in on my phone because I'm like, you know what? I don't need it. And it's been,
Yeah,
oh my gosh, so nice. Like I still have
amazing.
all my posts, I still all do all
Yeah.
my social media marketing, but that's dedicated time where I'm focused in on it and not just sitting there endless scrolling. But
Yeah.
oh,
I love that. What's the app? Because I set a timer on my phone, but you can literally just click forget and I tend to do that. I have a 15-minute timer. It says, hey, your 15 minutes is up. I'm like, forget that.
I'll have to look it
Because
up
what's
and
the app?
message
Like,
it to
I want it to
you.
just like shut me down. What is
Yes,
it?
I'll have to look it up and send it to you. I actually turned
Okay.
my phone off for this just so I didn't get any
Right.
calls during. So I'll look it up and message and put it in show notes or whatever. But
Yes.
it was very helpful. You have to treat yourself like a kid. Give yourself
Yeah.
the parameters, just like you don't want a child on it. This was
Mm-hmm.
really interesting. Have you ever heard of Andrew Huberman?
No. Uh-uh.
So he has a podcast and they're like really sciencey, a lot of psychology, and oh, I love all of his
I love
stuff.
psychology. I do.
Such great. He has a really great one on emotional intelligence with Dr. Mark Brackett that you have to listen to. But last week I was just listening to one about ADHD.
Uh-huh.
And at the very end, I'd had this suspicion. And at the very end, he actually said this. And I was so excited that I was right. But he was talking about how because of social media and technology and everything that we have in our hands these days, we're actually almost giving ourselves ADHD like brains where we can't
I believe it.
focus, where we just move so
Mm-hmm.
fast, sit, get one thing done, and move on to the next. And I think his suggestion was that children should have 1 hour of screen time, and then adults should spend no more than 2 hours of screen time. And I'm comparing that to like social media. And so that was
Yeah.
like, again, you just have to limit it. And I guess you don't
Yes.
have to, but I wanted to because it
You
was
should.
just
Yeah.
noisy.
It is noisy. Now, when they say screen time, does that mean computers? Because a lot of stuff is like putting, for me, is documents and stuff like that. So just social media.
Yeah.
Even 2 hours is a lot. Lately, it's been more than that, probably for me. But prior to that, like, I really don't go on to scroll. I go on with intention, but I spend more time than I would want. I would like to limit it to 30 minutes, like you said. Be very intentional with your time, because I heard from somebody one time before, I think it was Grant Cardone, is you're either being used by social media or you are using social media. If you are on social media without intention, you are being used by it. And I was like, oh shit, yeah. Okay. So yeah, just being intentional with everything that you do, and social media is a big example of it.
Absolutely. And you don't,
So you had made the comment in one of your questions about like adult mean girls in business. Can you explain and elaborate on that? Because it's true, and not even mean girls, but just mean people. There are just mean people out there.
there are. It's something that I dealt with probably in the past couple of years, and it was more when I was going to industry events and trying to be seen as an expert. And so it was me trying to speak more, again, being involved and collaborating with more people. And I just never thought that I was going to face high school all over again, but I did. And what was interesting is as I was having conversations with people, I would find other people who were feeling the same way. And I think for me, I had to get coached on it several times because when I would be in certain rooms, attend certain events, these people would steal my energy. I'm sorry, I let them steal my
Right.
energy. And the focus became on these people. And it was so insane because it just threw me back into middle school and high school of I need to do everything I can to be liked, to be accepted. And it I got made fun of. I was a huge dork and a huge nerd throughout school, always got judged and laughed at for that. And so to see that in adulthood, like in my
Mm-hmm.
30s, I was like, this is freaking ridiculous. And it's like
Yeah.
I ignored it for so long, but then it became, again, like debilitating when I was in these scenarios. And so I took it again several times into coaching sessions and was able to work through it. And it was, again, like separating the self. Everything was internal work of who am I, building my own confidence, my own self esteem, my own self respect, doing some little distancing techniques. I gave these people characters. So
Mm-hmm.
anytime I saw them, I would play out these characters, and that kind of helped separate so that way it wasn't such a personal attack. But it's really hard because, again, men and women are the same, but specifically with women, we're all trying to get our voice, and some are louder than others. And I think just the biggest thing is I just imagine don't be the turtle that crawls into your shell and can't be your own self because you're afraid of
Mm-hmm.
those things. Is imposter syndrome a normal thing? Yes, I think that is what helps you be human and shows vulnerability, but also not allowing other people to steal your sunshine. I firmly believe that multiple people can sit at the table at the same time, and not everybody agrees with that. And I think through personal development And as you are in different environments and trying to do different things, you've got to be prepared for it. What happens if this pops up, and how am I going to deal with it and process it? And again, I needed that professional outside help to help me process through it, because trying to work on it through myself, I was just spiraling in a high school brain in my head. It was crazy.
Yeah, isn't that wild? And isn't it like scary to think like what our kids have to go through
Oh,
with today's day and age? Like my kids, and after all of this last week and stuff, I'm just like so fearful of my kids and what's going to happen when they get older. And we don't do like technology, they get TV and stuff, but like phones. My daughter has her own business, but she uses my phone if she's going to be posting on like my Facebook page. But I'm so fearful. I am so fearful of, like you said, like we give ourselves the ADHD, 100%. I absolutely agree with that because our attention spans are so short. And why do you think that is? If you look at reels, how long are they're usually grabbing your attention within a couple seconds. And if it's longer than 10, 15 seconds, you're probably scrolling on. And it's sad. Like I'll come across some of them and I'll see that it's 2 minutes. I'm like, I scroll. Nope, let me go back. I'm going to watch it. I'm extending my attention span. I'm going to watch this whole 2 minutes. And then it was a waste of time. But I've done that before. I'll scroll. It's like too long. Nope. Bringing it back. But no, okay. So Brittany, what is one piece of advice that you would give to your younger self, or maybe somebody who's just getting into the entrepreneurship world?
whew. I'm going to tie this back into something we brought up earlier. Trust your gut. I didn't learn to listen to my intuition for a long time. I would always think about it afterwards. Oh, I knew it. I
Yeah.
knew I was going to get an emergency called, and I knew that this owner or this client wasn't going to be a good one. And for years, it was just always, I just thought it was crazy, to be honest with you. And then I even remember like having a battle with myself of, am I supposed to listen to my intuition? Am I not? Like full on conversation with myself.
Yeah.
And then it was like, Brittany, yes, this is part of you. This is why you get that gut feeling. And that's what's
Yes.
so crazy is as I learn and develop my own self, like you realize how much your body knows. Your
Yeah.
body can sense and feel things before your brain actually processes it. So when I started making the connection that, okay, the reason my body feels a certain way is because of something. And when you start
Yeah.
exploring those triggers, and this all ties into emotional intelligence as well, for the good and the bad emotions. When you start diving into, oh, what is that? That didn't feel good. And you take the time and you trust yourself and you go, all right, let me try this. Things just make more sense and you don't beat
Mhm.
yourself up as much. And so I wish I would have learned to slow down and listen and trust myself more and what that
Mhm.
meant. Now I understand it.
Mhm.
Now I get it. I don't care if you think I'm crazy or not. I get it.
Mhm.
It works for me. I just wish I could have tapped into that in my 20s because I feel like I could have saved the world or something crazy.
But again, I truly believe like we are where we're supposed to be. We always talk about shoulda, woulda, coulda. No, but what can you do now moving forward? Because you probably were not mentally ready to be able to take on whatever your intuition was back then. You didn't have that emotional intelligence. You didn't have the confidence back then. So even we can say shoulda, woulda, coulda, but in all reality, we weren't ready for that. It wouldn't have been successful because you had to go through these trials and tribulations and what you've all gone through to get where you're at today, that even if you attempted it, it probably wouldn't have succeeded the way you think or we would want it to happen. Honestly, like
Very true.
yeah, if I had the confidence that I had now 10, 15 years ago, I probably could have done so much better, but it just wasn't my time. It was not my time. And we also need to be okay with that. You are never too old to change the trajectory of your life. I think it was, I don't know who it was. I think it was maybe Jim Carrey. He said, you're never, every day you can basically wake up and be whoever you want to be that day,
Mhm.
essentially, or something along those lines. I don't know if it was Jim Carrey. Somebody said it, but it's true. Like you can wake up and be like, no, I am not going to be doing that anymore. This is going to be the path that I take. So it's just figuring that out and doing all the things. Brittany, how can somebody get a hold of you if they are wanting to reach out to you for coaching, anything like that? How can they get a hold of you?
So I definitely prefer LinkedIn over anything. So reach out to me, connect with me on LinkedIn. I do have Instagram and Facebook. I also have a website, which is discoverfreedom.life. And then my email address is all in at discoverfreedom.life. So I created that. Like it's, if you're reaching out to me, you're ready to go all in. You're ready to do what it takes to make change. I'm going to add one last thing to that of what you just said. more and more research and science shows that neuroplasticity can be part of our brains, which means you can change. And just want to
Yes.
advocate for that, of diving into personal development, diving into who do I want to be. You can be 40, 50 and you can change. You can be in
Yes.
your 20s, 30s. And if
Mhm.
you're ready to figure out where you're at, where you want to be, and not let society dictate that for you, then I'd love a conversation, because it's what
Yeah.
really gets me excited to see people shine brighter, have more confidence, and just help
Yes.
build that life where they can be a great mom, they can be a great spouse, and most importantly, they love and are graceful to themselves.
Yes, absolutely. And I think everybody needs a coach. I really do. We all need a coach no matter what stage of life. The best coaches in the world, guess what? They have coaches, they have
Yes.
mentors, they have somebody, and they didn't get where they're at by themselves. So I truly 100% believe in coaches, whether it's personal development, whether it's specific to whatever entrepreneurship business you are in, counselors, therapy, anything and everything you can think of. I know my coach actually has 6 different coaches. He's got a coach for fitness. He's got a coach for his meals. He's got a coach for his mental health. He's got a coach for his finances. He's got a coach for his coaching. He's got a coach for his, literally, I'm not like,
I
that's
love it.
reality. Like, I don't know how you keep up with all of that, but
Right.
start with one. But if somebody can't afford it, start with these inspirational podcasts that you can listen to and get your mindset and create that emotional intelligence and create that confidence. So, Brittany, I want to thank you so much. And I want to thank the audience for tuning in to this episode of Real Moms. I hope you loved today's conversation with Brittany Blackman. Be sure to check out her work and connect with her at LinkedIn. You can also go to her website at discoverfreedom.live. And as a reminder, if this episode encouraged you, please hit that subscribe button, leave us a 5-star review, and share this with another mom who's building her dreams. Your support not only helps this podcast grow, but it also helps incredible women like Brittany get their stories heard. So remember, you are resilient, you are capable, and you are made for an abundant life. Never hesitate to reach out. I want to help however I can. So until next time, keep going, and you've got this. And that wraps up another inspiring episode of the Real Moms Podcast. A huge thank you to our incredible guests for sharing their story and insights today. If you found value in today's conversation, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And hey, sharing is caring, right? Share this podcast with your fellow mompreneurs, friends, and anyone who you feel could use a dose of inspiration. Share it on your social media as well. But most importantly, if you found this episode helpful, please leave me a 5-star review. This helps get our information out to those who have never heard or seen us before. Are you feeling inspired and you're sure that you could add some value to the podcast? Shoot me a message and let's talk. We love hearing from you. So connect with us on social media. Tag me at Shae J Spitz. That's ShaeJSpitz. And share your thoughts and takeaways, or even suggest topics you'd like to have us explore more in the future episodes. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. Your resilience is your strength, and your pursuit of abundant living is truly remarkable. As always, keep thriving, keep growing, and keep embracing the beautiful chaos of being a mompreneur. Until next time, take care, stay real, and keep living abundantly.